This is Sports 225, Baton Rouge's longest running and best TV show. Now in its 18th year, if you count those 16 years of Sports Monday, and we do. Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, here's your host, Lee Feinswog.
We got a fun show lined up for you tonight. We're here at the Team Sportsplex, a Breck facility at Kenilworth and Perkins that is really interesting, and we'll talk about that in a second, with Brock Kantrow, who's the youngster on tonight's show. Later on, 89-year-old Frank Bryan, the former LSU basketball and professional great, who is my guest for a segment because he's finally in the LSU Athletic Hall of Fame. And the inimitable, the one and only Dale Brown, 77 years young, and there's nothing like talking to Dale Brown. And as we use in Les Miles parlance, he'll be on the back half of the show. But in the front part of the show, Brock Kantrow, the former college basketball coach at, among other places, Tulane, Miami, and some little college in Maryland where you became a head coach and came to your senses.
St. Mary's College in Maryland, yeah. And then I traveled the roads back home. I knew when it took me an hour and a half to get to a mall, I was in the wrong part of Maryland.
Yeah, and on the wrong part of the ledger sometimes, too. Yeah. He runs this place, which is remarkable. Tell him about it.
It's a really neat concept. I mean, we've got 5 regulation volleyball courts here. We've got 3 regulation basketball courts that can be divided up into 5 youth basketball courts. You've been here on Saturday mornings when there's 5 youth basketball games going. It's just something special to see Baton Rouge have a place like this where everybody can get together and have a good time and play a little basketball and volleyball while they're at it.
You should see when this place is in full bloom on Saturday morning and there's little kids running around crazy, a lot of parental involvement, and even a really good concession stand.
Yeah, you know, it reminds me, I tell people all the time, I grew up playing CYO basketball at Sacred Heart in the little bitty old Cracker Box gym. This is the CYO on steroids. You know, this is just a souped up version. We got more space, more courts, and an air conditioner that works, so life is good.
Now, one of the reasons why we're shooting over here today is because, one, this is a great place. I used it for a volleyball tournament earlier this year. It's fantastic. Brock's a good friend of mine, and he had already previously arranged for Dale Brown to be here. So we knew that we could get Dale and do a sit-down because he was doing some other stuff for Brock, and then Frank Bryan and his friend Buddy Wicker, who was with him, made it easy for them to come here. So it was a perfect setup. You got to be excited to get a couple of legends like that.
Oh, it was neat seeing Dale come in. You know, I've gone back so far with Dale to my Tiger Tot days, and I've stayed in touch with him over the years. Literally, we probably talk once a month, and to think that guy's 77 years old is just incredible. He walks around like he's in his 40s. It's just I guess when he was rafting down the Mississippi, maybe he found the fountain of youth and didn't tell anybody about it because he sure looks good.
Yeah, on a side trip to chase Bigfoot, but that's a whole other story for anybody who doesn't know him from the old days. One of the things that's really cool here is former LSU basketball player Stanley Roberts, all 7'1" or 2 of him, coaches little kids for you.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's actually coaching our youngest pre-kindergartners and kindergartners. You know, I ran across Stanley about 3 months ago, and he's fixing to graduate and looking for something good to do. And he's just such a super kind-hearted individual. He graduated a month and a half ago. He's been working for Shaw up in New York, and he's on his way back to town, and he'll be back here shortly. He called me every week. I'm ready to come back home. I'm ready to come back home. Y'all taking me back and go, you betcha, buddy, we got you.
Yeah, especially after that weather they're having up in the Midwest and the Northeast this week, and they've had, man, oh man.
Yeah, it was bad, but he's back in action, and he's happy to be here. You know, this facility is a kind of place that endears people like that. I mean, there's just so many different people that are here. You know, one day you can find the Bobby Jindal and his wife with their kids playing here, and one day you can find Stanley Roberts and his crew here, ex-LSU players, kids that look up to him. It's just a really neat environment.
All right, real quick before we go and we get to the old guys.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about this, I'm sure, with Dale later. But as a former college basketball coach, for Johnny Jones to come in and take over a program like this and have the success he's having with the limited
just so much fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, and the players he got, he's getting the most that he can out of those guys. And I think when you add talented players to the work ethic that he's instilling with these guys this year, you have something really special. You know, good players make great coaches, but great players and great coaches make championship teams. And I think he's on the road to doing that.
Well, as a former basketball coach, you know, even though current basketball coach, you still coach a lot of little kids, but no, on the college level, at a high level, you see him doing all the right things for
yeah,
the right
they buy
reasons?
into what he's saying, and that's the most important part. You could be the smartest coach in the world, and if your kids don't buy in, then you don't have anything. They buy in. Look in their eyes when they're playing. Watch Johnny on the bench when they're playing, and you see that the program is being built, and that's the most important part of it all.
Brock Kantrow, former basketball coaching legend himself, over here at the Team Sportsplex. It's a Breck facility on the corner of Kenilworth and Perkins, right near the velodrome and the skate park. This whole area is remarkable. On a spring day, or a sunny day, just anytime, you need to check it out. When we get back on Sports 225, Frank Bryan, 89 years old and the former LSU and NBA basketball player, is an interesting, nice man. I've never had an opportunity to sit down with him on camera. Looking forward to it. And then later on, Dale Brown. And as you know, there's nothing like Dale Brown.
Hang on your seats.
That's it. I'm Lee Feinswog. You're watching Sports 225.